Today we're going to make a table, but this time instead of drawing the table, we are going to use the insert feature. So let's go to our insert ribbon. On the insert ribbon, make sure that you go down to table, and this time we're going to insert table. Now the table we're going to create is on page 88 in your text. If you count up the number of rows in the table, you will see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 rows. We can't use the grid up here because it only goes to 8. So we're going to click on Insert Table so we can identify the number of rows that are larger than 8. So replace the 2 with the 14. Now take a look at the book. How many columns do you see? There are 3. So change your number of columns to 3. Now, in terms of fixed column width, you can keep that at auto. I'm going to hit OK, and notice that you have a grid with your table. Now, on the first row, notice that there are 3 columns, but our first row is going to be the main title, so we want to get rid of these lines. In the last class, I showed you the eraser tool. If you clicked on the eraser tool in the Table Tools Design ribbon, you could click on the line and it would erase the line. But I want to show you something on the Layout ribbon that also works. I'm going to turn off my eraser tool and click on the Layout ribbon. On the Layout ribbon, if you highlight both cells that are now in row 1, look all the way over in the Merge group. Right at the top of the Merge group, you're going to see Merge Cells. So when you click on Merge Cells merges the 3 cells into one. So whatever is highlighted gets merged into one cell. Notice that if I wanted to, I could go and split my cells as well. So if I wanted to have 3 columns like I used to, I can enter the 3 columns and I'm back to where I was. Again, to merge cells, highlight the cells, go into the Merge group on the Layout ribbon in the Table Tools, and click Merge Cell. All right, let's type our main title. Main titles are typed in all capital letters. So I'm going to type my Broadway Grosses. Make sure that your titles are bold, so highlight, and you can either go into your pop-up and select bold or use Control B. Remember in the Layout ribbon, we did this with our draw tools, we can align our information into the middle of the cell. So I'm going to simply say Align Center. In addition, if you look at the book and you look here, they have more space in their cells. What I'm going to do is highlight all of my cells in the table. I can do that by clicking on the 4 arrows located in the upper left-hand corner of the table. I'm going to click on the Layout. I'm going to make my rows 0.4. 0.4 is like a double space, just so you know. So 0.4 inches is the equivalent to a double space. Let's work on that second row. This is a secondary heading. And with the secondary heading, in this case, we're going to use initial caps. You would always use initial caps. Do you remember that secondary heading, Mark Twain? Initial caps. Here in the book, they use italics, so we'll copy what they have in the book. First, let's merge cells. Highlight the cells. We're in the Layout tab, Merge Cells. Now, key in your text. And I'm going to again align in the center. This time I'm going to italicize, which is Control I. We're ready to work on our column headings. So in my first column heading, I'm going to type, tab to your second column heading and type. Don't forget that this week is initial caps. And tab to your last column heading and type. Again, column headings are also bold. So we're going to bold this. Oops, we forgot to bold our secondary heading. Right. And we're also going to change these column headings so they are also centered in the middle of the cell. We want to be consistent with our layout. So we have a main heading and a secondary heading. Main headings are typed in all capital letters. Secondary heading, if you have one, is in initial caps. This case I italicized, but that is optional. You do want to bold. Column headings are also bold. Because I have a grid, that's these lines, the borders that are going around the cells, I would not underline because the extra line would look awkward. So if you don't have a grid, then you could underline your column headings, which are initial caps and bold. Now it is time to type our data. When you do text, text should be left aligned. So I'm just going to highlight this column and make sure that I choose my alignment in my alignment group on my layout ribbon. I want to be consistent. Since I put this in the middle of the cell, I'm going to put my text in the middle of the cell as well. Now, look at your numbers. These are dollar figures. Dollar figures are always aligned at the decimal point or right aligned. So here I'm going to use the alignment in the middle again, but on the right-hand side. So I've already set up my alignment before I even begin typing, and I think that that's a nice shortcut. If you prefer to do this later, you may. Again, text is always left aligned. Numbers are always right aligned or aligned at the decimal point. In this case, the right alignment is the decimal point. So let's start typing. You can pause this video and type the text in the book. Please use the Tab key to advance to the next cell. You use the $sign in the first cell and the last cell in the column. Go ahead, be back soon. I'm back. I want you to notice that I've typed in my data, but what I did not do is the last line. So if you type the last line, get that out of there because I want to do something special with that. Let's take a look at our columns at this point, and we want to adjust our columns width. Do you remember how to do that? If you click on the line, double-click on the line that goes between the two columns, notice how it automatically adjusts to make it a little bit longer than the longest line. Go ahead and do that on your remaining two lines. Again, it's a simple double-click. If you have a hard time double-clicking, you can also click on the line, wait for the two lines, and drag it manually yourself. Remember that the table needs to be centered horizontally on the page, so you can click on that little icon, select your whole table, go to that home ribbon, and click center in the alignment in the paragraph group with your alignment tabs. Back to my layout tab. So I've adjusted my columns width. I've also set for 0.4, which is the equivalent to double spacing for my row heights. Let's go to that last row. So we're going to type in our total. So just hit the space bar like 3 times. Actually 2 more. Hit the space bar 5 times. And we're going to create the word total. We want to make that bold, so go ahead, highlight it, and bold it. Control B. That's the easiest. Instead of typing the number, I want to show you a feature available in Word. You can insert a formula, and that formula is located right in that layout ribbon. This time we're looking on to the right. Do you see the word formula all the way on the right? Position your cursor in the total for the grosses this week column. Go over to the formula button and click. Notice that it knows that you want to compute a sum. You want to compute the sum of all of the figures above. So all you have to do is hit OK. Notice it puts the $sign in for you and it matches the book. Kudos. Let's do it again. Position your cursor in the last column. Go up to your layout ribbon under Table Tools. Look all the way over to the right. Click on Formula. There it is. Equal to sum is the function. It's going to sum all of the figures above. Hit OK. Ta-da! Does it match the book? That's a good way to test to make sure that you didn't make a typo in your numbers. So you have finished the bulk of the table. Notice that they have a source underneath. So that is outside of the table. Let's first center this table vertically. Do you remember how to do it? Select the entire table. Go to the Page Layout ribbon. We want to open up the Page Setup dialog box. On the Page Setup dialog box, click on the Layout tab. Go to the center. Do you see where it says Vertical Alignment? Change Vertical Alignment to Center. Hit OK, and notice your table jumps to the middle of the page. All we have to do is add our source note, and we are done. So I'm going to position my cursor below the source note. Type source, colon, and then go ahead and type your URL. Now you're going to notice that that looks really over to the margin too much. So all you have to do is hit the tab key to move that over so it looks nicer. Doesn't that look better? You are done with your table. Put your name in the header of this document and you're ready to go. Now, something that I want to review with you. We've adjusted our columns width. We've centered horizontally and vertically on the page. I want you to notice the font that's here. This is a sans serif font. This was just the default font. If you want to make the fonts bigger, feel free, but you don't want to pick anything that's too fancy when you're looking at the data. It's okay to have a fancy font for the heading, but not for the data. You want it to be easily read. In addition, please make sure that you do not mix serif fonts with sans serif fonts. This is a sans serif font. A serif font would be Times New Roman, like the book. Do you see the difference? Good job! This is the basics for making a table with the insert table. You're done.